Good day, IOA. I am Dr. Alicia Booker, the Principal Ombuds at Baylor College of Medicine and IOA President.
Hello, my name is Sarah Clapper. I'm the University Ombuds person at Northwestern University, and I am President-elect of IOA.
Good day, IOA. I am Diana Vermeer, a consultant of the World Bank Respectful Workplace Advisory Program, a former IOA board member, and currently one of the co-chair of the European Ombuds and Mediation Group.
Good day, IOA. I'm Jutta Reitmeier. I'm one of the European Regional Ombudsmen for Mars Incorporated for 4.5 years now. I'm supporting our associates, that's how we call our employees, in many parts of Europe. And at IOA, I'm currently co-chairing the European Ombuds and Mediator Group, as well as being member of the IOA Outreach Committee.
Good day, IOA. My name is Camilo Azcárate. I'm the Chief Ombuds for the International Red Cross and a former chair and board member for the IOA.
And good day, IOA. My name is Ellen Miller, and I am proud to be the Executive Director of IOA. Thank you all for being here this morning. We just returned from meetings in Munich and Geneva. We were in Munich to attend the European and Ombuds Mediation Group meeting, and then we traveled to Geneva where we met with NGO Ombuds community. We also held a board meeting at that time, and following the board meeting, we held a special foundations for the European community. So lots that happened last month in October and lots of information to share. But let's start with you, Alicia. Why did we decide to go to Europe now in 2023?
Thank you, Ellen, for the question. First, we had to put the I in IOA. We had to think about our international community. We've had a big focus on DEIB, and this is a part of that, making sure that we are thoughtful and learning from our colleagues about how IOA can support their initiatives.
Thank you. And so there was lots of lessons learned. And Sarah, tell us, what did we as a leadership team learn from that experience in Munich and Geneva?
So many things we learned. First, Zoom has really been an incredible way to connect with colleagues around the world. However, really, there is a serious place for in-person connection, especially when we're creating and rebuilding relationships. It was just incredible and essential. It's the same thing we all experience when we attend conferences. Ombuds practice also is different depending on the area of the world, the type of organization, and legal regulations that affect those areas. So it was really helpful to hear more and learn more about how it is affecting our European members. Third thing would be many of our US colleagues rely on affinity groups. For community, for connection, for advice. What we learned was that the European community doesn't have the same number of affinity groups as we do in the US, and it would be really helpful to create some more of those spaces for our European colleagues. Another thing would be that we really need to do some more research to learn about programs that are allowed to be called ombuds versus not called ombuds throughout Europe and in the rest of our international community. And also some legislative options that might exist to advance ombuds work in Europe. Finally, many of our European colleagues, we've learned their needs are very similar to what we have already addressed for members in the United States. And many are very specific needs, not just general the world needs. So these are things that we think that IOA can really help address in the European community.
Thanks, Sarah. So much wisdom that we learned firsthand, right? And so, Deanna, why is it important that the IOA leadership meet with European ombuds in Europe or in the country of practitioners? Why does that make a difference?
Yeah, people shared with me that their dreams came true when met with the IOA leadership. So it's important that you came in our land. It's a huge step for us, and we appreciate your effort. And this face-to-face meeting created the foundation for a strong and trust-based collaboration between the IOA leadership and the local professional. And I think it allowed you, as an IOA leader, to gain a deeper understanding of the local context. As Sarah mentioned, indeed, the legal framework, how we approach conflict resolution, and how local ombuds program function or works. And I believe this meeting, it was essential to build a good rapport with the local ombuds professional.
Thanks, Deanna. It's so true, right? Culture and trust is built in person, right? We can carry it forward virtually, but if you don't have that opportunity to connect with people one-on-one, we have regional advisory councils and different groups around the world, really, which are clusters of where ombuds come together in community based on their regional needs. And the European Mediator and Ombuds Group is a thriving group that's been around for many, many years. Probably predates, in fact, some of IOA's other RACs. So Jutta, it was a marvelous, engaged meeting, almost 2 full days of meetings. So tell us, what were the discussions and key takeaways that came from that meeting? And is there anything that you want to share with the group about that meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ellen, our European Ombuds and Mediator Group has been meeting for the very first time face-to-face since COVID. So it was anyways a truly energizing event, like Sarah said, away from the virtual connections back to the physical ones. And having you as the IOA board members with us made it even more special and great. And it was fantastic that you made it possible and took the effort to come here and see us. We all appreciated how you ensured to plan your trip so that you could make the most of it and meet as many members as possible. And I think, we are, as you said, we are one of the largest international ombuds groups working with IOA. It was a true honor to have you. I think it connected us closer with IOA in a joint workshop together with you. We exchanged about how we can work together, what we as IOA members would appreciate to get in terms of support from IOA, so that we can do our jobs well and ensure that the number of ombuds in Europe can grow over the next few years. And this, I think, it helped to hear also from you how difficult it is as time to unite us all, such a diverse association, right? So we came together for these days, and we came out with 3 clear action points for our group, which started with a meeting with you. So firstly, we would like to ensure that we increase the opportunities to learn and grow together, to create a training path with the best access to training and professional development on top of what is offered already by IOA, which is often at our night time, so that we can't attend, unfortunately. Yeah. Secondly, we wanted each of us to feel supported in our individual health and well-being and ensure that we can do our jobs as well as possible with the support from each other. And then lastly, we would like to ensure that we can further drive our work in Europe and with EU regulative and legislative bodies to make sure that the number of ombuds in Europe will grow further. And we believe that all of us at IOA can truly benefit from this. With all the 3 projects, we hope we can count on you at the IOA board and on your professional support.
Thank you, Jutta. That's a wonderful agenda that aligns with all of the work that we're all doing around the world, right? We're trying to create community and resources to be supportive. We're trying to support each other at these very, very difficult times in terms of conflict and the world around us. And, we're trying to expand the number of programs and the understanding of organizational ombuds and how it adds value. And what that looks like in different regions is it is a little bit different in different regions based on the culture and language and tone and perspective. So, Camillo, this is a long time coming, trying to put the I in IOA, and we've had several attempts at starting and not really continuing. So why is it really critical that we do this now?
Well, the promotion and the protection of the ombuds profession should be a priority for the IOA, and it has been relatively successful within the US and some Anglo-Saxon countries as well. But we have to recognize that growth is not happening, or at least not happening as fast as it could internationally. And I believe the reasons for that is because we have been using the same thinking that we use for the U.S. growth to try to grow internationally without the recognition of the differences between the countries, in particular the difference between the different legal systems. So we have seen that most of the growth internationally has been pulled by either US-based multinational organizations or international organizations. And those, I believe, are the vast majority of the ombuds, while homegrown ombuds are rare. And there is one exception, which is Brazil. And Brazil developed their own ombuds, homegrown ombuds from scratch, even without our help. And they are thriving right now, 30 years after they created a law that authorized the use of ombuds in Brazil. So that is one point that we have to highlight as a success story that we need to replicate if we want this profession to grow in countries in which the legal limitations are stronger than they exist in countries with a common law system, such as the United States and other Anglo-Saxon countries. So we really need to get our act together to make sure that those who need the services of an ombuds, and they're everywhere around the world, will be able to access those services. But we need to then get to work in some kind of a legal framework and legislative framework to make that happen around the world.
Yes, absolutely. You know, one of the things that we have started the discussion about implementing the new standards of practice, and one of the conversations that we've been having is, do we need to do regional implementation guides? Because the language in our standards of practice, while they considered international needs, really are in a very Anglo-Saxon, US-based legal framework paradigm. So we need to do some more in terms of that. Lots of other replication that can happen. When we were in Geneva and we did the foundations, we were happy to pull a couple of board members who are existing foundations instructors to do that training. And Deanna and Lynn were also there on the ground observing so that they can take the baton and carry on and be our Europe-centered foundations trainers. We're trying to replicate that model in Canada in 2024 by putting together a training in Canada for organizational ombuds with a Canadian team, again, that they could replicate. One thing we've heard time and time again is we need regional trainers, and it's quite easy for us to do that, but it does mean we need to go in country and do the training and create opportunities for observation, and then debriefing and discussion with those trainers and observers to figure out how to best tweak and deliver that within the region. Also, our internationalization task force has been created. This was at the request of our International Outreach Committee last year, and it plans to opine on priorities. You know, we're a small but mighty organization, and it's not that we can't do things. We just need to prioritize how we do them, and then make sure that we have resources and budget to allocate to support that prioritization. So that international task force is doing that work, and by Q1 of next year will give us a sense of what the priorities ought to be in the next 10 years. And I think we've all talked about how relationships take time to develop. So meeting with practitioners in person allowed us that opportunity to connect. I too, Deanna, heard this was a dream of mine to meet you here in this country, because I have no capacity to go to conferences, to meet with you here and to sense and to hear what you plan and to feel the commitment was really transformative for so many people that we met with, and transformative for us as well. So thank you all. Thank you all for being here and sharing the positive work that you're all doing, and for contributing to the meetings that we had. Thank you to Jutta and Deanna for such wonderful hosts and giving us so much of the agenda to be able to have these conversations with the community in Europe. And thank you to Camillo for being at both Munich and Geneva as well, being a proud member of the European community, and also coming to Geneva to be with the NGO community and recognizing the importance of talking with the board. So thank you all. Thank you for what you do, and good day, IOA.